A woman is running down the street worried about something. Meanwhile, a blind man is calmly walking down the street. The woman then stops, changes her clothes and throws her other clothes in the bush. She then approaches the man and pins him against the wall. A policeman comes right behind looking for something. He sees the woman with the man and leaves. When the policeman leaves, the woman apologizes to the man and says she thought he was her boyfriend. The man says no problem and asks her to get his cane for him. She then realizes that he was blind and helps him. She then says the man had a really nice smile and leaves. Later, another man is leaning against a wall. The man then passes by him and he asks where would he go. The man then asks what he wanted and the other man tells him to calm down, he just liked his shirt. The man then thanks him and the other man takes the man's cell phone out of his pocket and he asks him if he had money on him. He says he has nothing left, but at that moment the woman appears and asks what the other man was doing. He then asks her what her problem is and she tells the other man to give him back his phone or he would get in trouble. The other man then hands the phone back and leaves. The woman then asks if the man was okay and he says yes and thanks her. She then tells the man to remember that a man with a smile as beautiful as his couldn't walk around alone. He then says he was just walking, but she tells him to be careful. At that time a woman's voice calls for the man and he answers saying it was his mother. She then arrives and asks what he was doing there and tells the woman to get away from him. He says that she was helping him, but the lady says that she had told him not to be alone. The woman then says that she was only helping the man, but the lady says that she was not supposed to be around her son as she knew her reputation. The lady then asks how he could leave the house alone and tells him to go away. Sometime later, the man was walking down the street when the woman arrives and calls him a beautiful smile. She then asks if he was alright, but he says that his mother told him who she was. The woman then asks what she had said and the man says that his mother had told him what the woman was doing the day they met. The woman then says that she was now changed and that she had returned all the money. She says that she had opened the car of the person she stole from to return the money. She says she didn't want him to think she was a thief, she only did it in the past because she had to, but that now she wants to fix what she did. The man then says that he still doesn't know why she did that and she says that her mother was very sick and that the medicine is very expensive. The man then asks if she had a job and she says that the situation was difficult and that she was looking for a job, but that she would soon find it. The man then says that he was scared of falling in love with her and that he had never been this close to anyone. The woman then tells them to start being friends. The man then asks what they were going to do and the woman says she had a surprise for him and kisses him on the cheek. She then tells them to go, but when the man starts walking, she says that from that moment on, she will help him walk. Later, the two are sitting down and the woman takes off the man's glasses. She then starts to draw him and he asks her what she was doing. She says she was drawing him. He then asks if she could draw and she says yes and that she was very good at it. He then asks if she had studied and she says that over time she practiced on her own, and after a while she ended up getting good. The man then asks what she wanted to study and she says she doesn't know, but if she had the opportunity, she would like to study architecture as it was something she liked to do. The man then says that he also liked architecture and she is surprised and says that it was something they had in common. The woman then finishes the drawing. She tells the man to keep that drawing close to him as it was very important to her. He then thanks the woman and says he is sad that he cannot see. She then says that although it was sad that he couldn't see it, there was a good side to it, he couldn't see how badly she drew. She then puts the man's glasses back on and kisses him on the cheek. The next day, the woman asks if he had a fun day. He says yes. She then asks if he still had the drawing she had done. He says yes and that it was kept at his house. She tells him to be careful as his mother might throw it away, but the man says his mother wouldn't do that. The man then says he needed to say something to her. He says his mom was talking to a specialist and he said he had surgery that might get him his sight back. The woman says that was good news, but that way he would leave her. He says he would have the surgery in that city, but she says the man wouldn't like her when he saw her. He says he would always be around the woman and she says she would always be around the man too. She then calls him a pretty smile and kisses him on the cheek. Sometime later, the man was walking down the street when his mother called him. She asks why it took him so long and that she was worried about him. He says he was just hanging out, but his mother tells him to go inside. The woman, seeing from afar, approaches the house and tries to see something inside. The mother then sees the woman there and says that she had already asked him to stay away from her son. She says she was just looking, but her mother says she would call the police on her. The woman then says that she was in love with her son. The mother says that her son was a very good person to be with her, but she says that he had changed. The mother then says that she would call the police if she didn't leave. The woman then says that she wanted to stay close to her son, but the mother says that she no longer wants to see her near her son or her house. She then tells the woman to go fix her life elsewhere. The woman then leaves sadly. The next day, the woman was again near the man's house. She sees the man and his mother leaving the house with a woman. They then get into the car and the mother helps the man into his seat. The woman then regrets that she cannot be close to her beloved. She then gets sad and leaves. Years later, the woman enters the man's office and claims to be the architect who would take over his projects. He tells her to come in and that he would talk to her soon. She then closes the door and sits down. The man then says it was nice to finally get to meet her and asks if she has all the project documents. She then remembers everything they lived together and says she had all the documents and calls him a beautiful smile. She says he still had the drawing she had given him. He then says that he had saved everything from her. It makes her very happy.